The words didn't sound real at first. They hung in the air like smoke, sharp enough to sting my eyes. She crossed her arms over her chest, her expression cold and almost bored as she repeated them. If you can't handle 2 months without intimacy, then leave. It felt like someone had taken a hammer to my ribs. I just stood there in the middle of our bedroom, still holding the bouquet of flowers I had picked up on the drive home, because I thought a surprise might help us reconnect. The petals brushed against my palm like a reminder that I'd been stupid enough to hope for something sweet. My throat tightened. 2 months. My voice cracked. Where is this coming from? We've barely touched each other for weeks already. She sighed like I was a toddler throwing a tantrum. You always make everything about you. I'm stressed. I'm tired. I don't want to be pressured. I'm not pressuring you, I said, though even I could hear desperation creeping into my tone. I just miss you. I miss us. She turned away like the sight of me was exhausting. I looked at her shoulders, how tense they were, like she was bracing for a confrontation she'd already decided she was done with. Something inside me twisted. 2 months, she repeated. Or go. She might as well have shoved me out the door right then. After a long moment where my heartbeat thrashed like it wanted to escape, I set the flowers on the dresser. The cellophane crinkled loudly in the heavy silence. Goodbye, I said. Her head snapped toward me, surprise breaking through her icy mask. You're leaving. Seriously. You told me to, I answered quietly. She took a step forward, suddenly uncertain. I didn't think you'd actually go. I wished she hadn't said that. Because now I understood something painful. She didn't expect me to have boundaries. She didn't think I would ever stop trying. She thought she could push and push and push and I would still crawl back. Maybe I had taught her that. I grabbed my keys from the nightstand. My hands shook. I didn't bother packing a bag. I just needed to get out before the hurt turned into begging. I didn't want her to see me like that. As I stepped out the front door, she called after me. You're overreacting. Her voice echoed down the hallway of our apartment building. Kept walking. The night air hit me like a splash of cold water when I stepped outside. Everything felt unreal. I didn't know where to go. I sat in the car for a moment, head against the steering wheel, breath shaky and uneven. I thought about the past few months. The late nights at her office. The sudden gym membership. The phone she kept face down. The change in her laughter when she texted someone she barely knew. The excuses. Distance. Pieces of a puzzle I refused to assemble. I drove aimlessly until I ended up at the park near the river. The place we used to go when we were first dating. I could still picture her hand in mine, swinging gently as she looked up at me with eyes full of softness and warmth. Where did that woman go? I called my friend Evan and told him I needed somewhere to crash. He didn't ask questions. He knew me well enough to hear the cracks in my voice. He said his couch was always open. As I drove toward his house, my phone buzzed in the console. Come back. We should talk. 3 minutes later. Her. I'm sorry, okay? Her. I didn't mean it like that. I stared at the screen as messages continued popping up. Guilt. Anger. Fear of consequences. Not remorse. And then one that froze my blood. Her. We need to set some boundaries before he comes over again. Who the hell was he? My pulse kicked hard. Called her. This time she didn't answer. So I turned the car around and drove home. Too fast. Too reckless. Every streetlight blurred as suspicion ignited into dread. I ran up the stairs 2 at a time and unlocked the door. The living room was dim, lit only by the soft lamp on the side table. She was sitting on the couch, her face pale. Who is he? Asked. She swallowed hard. You weren't supposed to see that yet. Yet. I repeated. What boundaries? Who is he? Her eyes flicked toward the hallway. My heart dropped. I moved past her, ignoring her startled shout, and walked toward our bedroom. That was where I heard it. The quiet creak of someone shifting. A presence trying to stay still. I pushed the door open. A man stood there, pulling his shirt back over his shoulders. His hair was damp like he had just showered. His shoes were by the bed. My bed. Rage filled the room like gasoline fumes, sharp enough to ignite everything around me. My fists clenched. All those nights she turned away from me, all her cruel words, all the excuses. This was the reason. She hurried in behind me. "It's not what you think." I laughed. Sounded broken. "Really?" "Because it looks exactly like what I think." He tried to speak. "Man, listen." "No," I cut him off. "Get out." He glanced at her. She gave a small nod. He grabbed his shoes and slipped past me without another word. When he was gone, the silence crushed us. "How long?" I asked, staring at the floor because I couldn't look at her. She toyed with the sleeve of her sweater. 3 months. 3 months. The time she stopped touching me. The time she stopped loving me. The time she stopped being my wife. "Was this what you meant by boundaries?" Yes. My voice was quiet. Too quiet. She opened her mouth to defend herself, but all that came out was a weak exhale. "I thought I still wanted us," she whispered. "But then he came into my life and I don't know anymore." I nodded slowly, like each movement was weighed down with stones. "You made your choice. I don't want you to leave," she said suddenly. "We can work through this. Please. Work through this." Like betrayal was a small crack we could tape over. "I already left," I said, even though I was still standing in my own home. Her hand reached out, desperate, trembling. "Please don't go. I'll do better." For the second time that night I walked away from her. I opened the front door and paused only once, not to reconsider but to breathe. To remind myself I wasn't dying, even though it felt like part of me was being ripped out. I stepped into the cool night again. The door closed behind me with a soft click. This time she didn't call after me. And I didn't look back.